I do think it's important to pause because, for example, if you do act too quickly and act through your anxiety and you just start doing, then the chances are you will make mistakes and you will send things that you shouldn't be sending.
I'm with you, April. The anxiety came from, I don't know what this is. What is this experience of an audit going to be? Like, I worked in residential. I knew what residential was. We had to do either a year or every 3 years, someone from the state come in and see the house, audit all the documents, all of that, right? But it wasn't my company, right? That I was working for the company. And so we had the things already set up and they were running. And so I just needed to make sure that since I was the supervisor of the home to oversee all of that and make sure that we had all the things in the right places per the company request, right? So because there is a clear delineation of information that was expected from the state to the company down to me, I felt comfortable and prepared for a person from the state coming in and essentially doing a residential audit, right? Yeah. Now, there was still anxiety connected to it, of course, but it wasn't as high of an anxiety that I had with that certified letter. And there's a couple of things, right? It's all on me. I'm the owner. I'm the BCBA. So there's more at risk, right? But also there's a lot of the information that is needed for an audit is not as clear in the mental, like in the behavioral health insurance realm as it is for a residential care facility. So it seems from my standpoint currently, that there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of, I don't know what the right answer is. Like, there's these big contracts and reports that you have to read and know for each payer, but each payer is different and yada, yada, yada. And like, sometimes you don't even know all the details from that, right? So, and then there could be things outside of that like impact this audit that you have no idea about. So that's kind of that really, April, as you touched on, is the unknowns. What is it that you're really expected to have in place for these audit requests? And then hearing stories of 5,000, multiple million, like, right. and the spotlight is on the ABA community right now. So then that adds another layer of anxiety and worry, right? Because it's coming. We all know signing up for this, like that's a possibility, that you have to be prepared for it. But what does prepared look like?
Yeah, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And for anybody that bills TRICARE, I believe they're getting audited every year now, and a BCBA reviews the notes. So it is much stricter. So like something that I would recommend everybody look up and is like, go recoupment audits and then your state and see how far back insurance companies can look. Because like this is my perspective. You guys can take it or leave it. But a lot of times, especially with the audit component, this is your enemy. This is not your friend. This is not this is not a fair playing field. Anything that they can find that says they don't have to pay, even if it's ridiculous, that's on the list, right? This is in the rule book. So we had a recoupment audit request from one funder, and we sent them the session notes and the treatment plans, and they came back and said we owed money and we also committed fraud. And so their rationale
they used the F
fraud,
word.
yes, their rationale for fraud was that they Googled the bell times in our area and
for that exact school.
Yes. Yeah. And that they know that there's no way that we saw this child because they would have been in school at the time. Now, had they read the treatment plan that we got approved by them, that was authorized by them, and that we also sent in the audit, they would have seen that we were pulling this child out of school because in Virginia, you are allowed to do that. And so that's what we did. We saw them at home during the day. And so then, we had to prove this. and then they came back and said, okay, fine. But this is where you're at. Like, this is like how this is gonna be. This is the game you're playing. So knowing your rights, super important. We had one funder that was asking to look at session notes from 3 years. So 3 years in the past. And in Virginia, they can only look back 2 years unless they have some reason, right? So if they've caught you in fraud, then they can look back further. But if they're just asking for session notes, first request, they're not allowed to do that. Okay, so but don't assume these. This audit is going to be a fair game and everybody's going to do only what they're supposed to. And no, that's not my opinion. So at the end, when we were getting recoupment audits, I didn't send anything. The first thing I would send is our letter from our attorney saying that we will send all the necessary information for these dates, and that's it, right? And so they saw the attorney's letterhead, and in my opinion, they treated us with a little bit more respect than when we did those first few audits and we just sent in, right? I have to assume that they do some kind of cost benefit analysis where they're like, okay, this person has an attorney. We're going to have to get our attorney involved. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. This is going to cost a lot of money. So let's just go down the street and find another sucker and take their money. You know what I mean? And that's just how I think they do it. So like, you should not pay them for anything that you did correctly. And the other thing I will say on this is, even if your session notes are, maybe you give them a score, I don't know, 80%, maybe you give them a B, right? Just because one thing is missing from it doesn't necessarily mean they get to take all their money back, right? Like, so again, that's something that I would highly recommend that you talk to an attorney about, right? Is like, okay, they sent this letter and said we were missing, I don't know, right? Maybe the parent signature. We didn't capture the parent signature. We have the time in, time out. We have the GPS location. We have the signatures of the BCBA and the TAC, but we didn't get the parent signature. In many cases, you may be able to fight for keeping that money and not losing it, right? So just because they say you owe money doesn't mean you actually owe money, right? And so that's something. Now, it's going to get expensive. It's going to get time consuming. But again, my opinion is talk to an attorney, Kim Mack Rosenberg. Amazing. No one else I would trust with on insurance audits, and reach out to her and get some advice, and don't pay anything more than you should. Yeah, I think that's super important too. So first of all, too, as you're spinning out and spiraling out of control and thinking all of the worst case scenarios, don't act on it. Do not act on it. Wait a day or two if you need to. Get until you're in a spot where, because we know, like, when our nervous system is all activated, we're not going to make clear decisions, and we are more likely to make mistakes, even if we did try to gather all of the stuff. Now, they give you a time frame of when they want it back, and that's another thing. If their time frame is too short, too quick, Kim and Jody taught us that you could reach out to them and ask for an extension. And you explain the hardship that's giving on your company, right? To be able to gather this data and provide because right now your number one priority is providing services for the individuals. And, especially in a small thing, like where you're the BCBA wearing all the hats, then it might mean you have to cancel sessions. Now, I know it's not quite as big, like with practice management softwares. I do feel like that piece is a little bit easier for us. Our first few audits were like paper pen, binders, right? And we're like going through binders looking for data sheets, and we're photocopying things, and we had like stacks of paper that they were asking us to fax, and then we're like, we can't fax this much, and all of those like moving pieces. So I think I could be wrong, but have you heard of people having to send in like paper versions and stuff anymore? I mean, you have to, like, I don't know if you export it as a PDF or and Excel, then and then the problem is that you may You may have to fax it right now.
So yeah, so I guess depending on how they're wanting the information, it could very well be a timely thing, right? It's not just as easy as like, oh, okay, you want these dates, because then you're also going to want to review to know what you're sending. Like Steven said, even if there are mistakes, you want to be able to note it on your end, and so already have like a justification behind it or some kind of other, information to follow up with it. Be like, oh, I didn't get the signature from this client or from, on this session, but hey, guess what? There was the supervisor was out, the BCBA was out at that session, and they got the parent signature. And so you could like provide whatever, provide that evidence.
Yeah.
But the main thing though, I think is really to pause and to know that there is no rush. Like you don't have to, so even if it's a quick turnaround time, your first communication, whether it's for an attorney, or from you, these first few, it may be really good to use an attorney. We learned a lot from our attorneys, and they gave us the wording to use, and we started doing these communications on our own, but we always knew that they were there to support us if we needed. They're like, just let us know. We'll send you over a letterhead if you need to escalate it. Yeah. And so that's the first thing is like, sit with it, pause. Don't send anything. Don't do anything. Don't panic. Cause that's the thing. That's my number one. You can panic, but don't panic. Send. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's my number one advice, because I think a lot of times we think, okay, especially if you're like a rule follower and you have all this fear, it's so easy to be like, okay, they told me to do these things. Let's do it. Yep. Cause like Steven said, that helps slow down the process to say, okay, what's my time? Can they even be asking for these dates? Right. And then we'll talk more, but and then what to send, right? Because you don't want to oversend either, because that could trigger some other issues. So yeah. So have an attorney on retainer, or at least have a relationship, or reach out ahead of time with Kim or someone there. I think there are a few more ABA law people out there now, and then even, I'm thinking, what if you put like a visual for yourself, like open in a case of emergency? I never did that, but I'm just thinking that on the fly right now. If I had like
some pot in there,
a little a flask in your desk. No, I don't condone drinking, but an open case of emergency file to like remind yourself, like, okay, here are the steps. First, second, even just like the top three things, like just to get you centered, just to get you grounded, just to remind you, hey, it's okay. You don't have to act on this right now.